Hi, everybody. Sherry Leopold here. And wow, do I have a powerful woman here today as the next 2023 WOW Warrior honoree. And I'm going to welcome Tracy Malone. Oh my gosh, Tracy, your story is incredible. And I can't wait for people to get to know you. Congratulations, Tracy, for being a 2023 WOW Warrior.
Thank you so much, Sherry. I am so honored to be here and to be a WOW Warrior.
I know. So like, I like to say that, a WOW warrior is a person that when she walks in the room, all you can say is wow. And when we met for the first time, literally, I might have said that to you. Wow. So I want to share some things about what you're doing, but I also want to first have you share, what does it mean to you, Tracy, to be a woman of worth, a WOW warrior?
Well, first of all, it's such an honor. And I feel like I'm finally validated to all the work that I've been putting into just becoming and doing what I am to help victims of abuse. So this is such an amazing honor. Thank you.
And go ahead. I'm so pleased with you put so much of yourself into what you're doing, and I know you have a very big story which we're going to get to. But before we do that, I want to ask you, because you are such a powerful, impactful woman, I'd love to ask you, have you had some guides or mentors or women who inspired you along the way in your journey?
Sure. I mean, that's the easy part, right? There are heroes. They're the people who have inspired me to do what I do. And I would say there's probably a few. Brene Brown is one of them. And her work with shame and vulnerability. If I never heard her work, I would have never been vulnerable. And I would say there's a woman called Dr. Ramani, and she's in our industry of narcissistic abuse. And she was a mentor to me. And I worked under her in a group for a while and learned all I could and inspired to be, someone that helps people the way they do. And so I didn't know I'd make it, but I look like I am.
I think you're doing just great, which we're going to talk about right now. And you mentioned a little bit about what you do in your association with the doctor. I want you to just give us a little bird's eye view of what you do, Tracy, and how you're serving, because every woman of worth I've ever met is in service. So can you tell us how you help your clients?
Sure. So I am a coach for victims of abuse, and I coach them from all over the world. I have a map right behind me of people I've coached in Russia, in Dubai, and Tokyo, and Singapore. So I coach victims. I create information for them. I've written a bunch of books, bunch of journals, and I just want to help people heal from this type of abuse. And so I built my website, and that was like, okay, let's see if anyone needs information. And I never imagined reaching 1.5 million people last year. So it's kind of helpful to know that people do need this information, and I'm so glad I can supply it.
I love that. So, and you mentioned abuse. Can you sort of specify what your zone of genius is a little bit more for people? Because it seems like we hear a lot more about this now, but I think it's not that it's a new thing. I just think that it's actually having a light shown on it. And I know you are one of those lights to say, hey, you don't have to stay in this world. You can get out. So can you share a little bit more about the details of what you're doing?
Sure. So I was a victim of abuse myself, and I didn't know I was a victim of abuse when I went through my divorce. When I dated someone after that, it was in dating that guy that I found out what a narcissist was the hard way, and then decided to just how could I not know this my whole life? And it turns out, as I did the research and I said, why me? Why did this keep happening to me? That I had been abused by my parents, and I had known this, and it was familiar to me my whole life. So I thought, if I didn't know about this till I was 55, people need to be like educated. And I took up that baton and started teaching people, helping people, and started a YouTube channel and podcast to educate the world.
Oh, what a gift. What a gift. And you have a famous saying, I know, that I want you to share it. I don't want to say it and get it wrong about you, about knowing. Because this is the thing, you know, that there's a lot of guilt, as you mentioned, and shame around that, because you mentioned Brene Brown, who I love too. But you have a saying that you say because people often say to you, I don't know how I didn't know. Right. Can you share your famous saying?
I don't remember my famous saying. Tell me what it is.
See, you know it so well. You just say it. You don't know until you know. I think, is that what it is? You don't know until you know.
Yeah, thank you. I have so many sayings. I'm like, which one is she talking about?
I know, same. I have the same.
Yeah. So yeah, victims don't need to learn this until they do, right? It's not like you would just be like, hey, let me go pick up a book on abuse, right? But that's what most victims have, is that they just didn't even know this existed. So once they start to compare, say, my red flag checklist, and go, oh my gosh, that's exactly what's been happening to me, the light bulb goes off. And then they have the tools to go read a book on wherever they are. If it's a narcissistic parent, if it's a narcissistic relationship, marriage, whatever it is, they now have an avenue to look and understand what is happening in their life and how to heal from this.
Love that, Tracy. And you do have a free gift for our viewers today. And I think it's really important that we talk about this, because there are red flags in this type of relationship. When I said that, you know, well, you don't know until you know. This checklist is one of those things that will help in the knowing, correct?
Absolutely. It's a 2-page checklist with lots of different red flags, how they act, how the patterns are, you know, what happened. And I've had people call me up and go, I checked every single box. I checked 80% of the boxes, right?
And it's not like something you want to have an A+ in. But
no, exactly. It is definitely not something you want to have a lot of checks on, but it does start to give you answers. And it's very complex. It's very detailed. So again, if you have absolutely nothing on there, you're probably not in an abusive relationship. But the thing that people misunderstand about abuse is, especially with narcissists, for example, is that they all don't do the same thing. So some lie, some cheat, some never cheat, some never lie. And so that's where people go, oh no, you know, they don't ruin holidays. Oh no, they're not a narcissist. I'm clean, you know, don't worry. But it's not. It's just, how many of these behaviors do you want to tolerate? And how much do you need to have the evidence? And I actually have a rubber stamp. And I say, it doesn't matter what we call them. It's the abuse, and it's the patterns, and it's the behaviors, and the way that you feel in this relationship that we need to identify, that it's not safe for you to be there.
And not just not safe, it's not safe emotionally for you in the long run, as a person who's on the receiving end of that. And that always kind of brings to my mind how important it is to prioritize yourself, which I talk so much about, you know, self-love. And, you know, you have to love yourself enough to not put up with that stamp in your life, you know, and that person, because they're certainly not going to bring out the best in you either. So I want to say thank you. And that website is narcissistabusesupport.com/free-red-flag-checklist. So you can check that out and grab that freebie for yourself and see how many check marks you have in the relationship you're in, or if you're concerned about one. And I know that they can connect with you on some various platforms, which we'll talk about in just a second. I really do want to ask you, so if a woman was came to you or you were talking to her in conversation and you felt that she was questioning her worth, Tracy, what advice would you give her? What wisdom would you share with her?
Well, I'd say we have to find our worth. We have to hold on to it. We have to honor it. And that takes a lot of work when people have been beaten down, for example, from narcissistic parents that were told they were never good enough. They have to really analyze their life and go, you know what? They were lying to me. They were gaslighting me. I am worth it. I'm a great mom. I'm a great employee. I have my own business. Whatever it is, you have to learn to love yourself and love everything that you do. And then nobody can take it away. If you are sort of on the line going, I don't really know who I am, well, then you are really good pickings for someone to come in and abuse you. So knowing your worth is absolutely essential because it's the anti-abuse card, right? If you know this is who I am, you like it or you leave it, it's a different attitude than being a people pleaser and molding yourself to fit into someone else's mold. So knowing your worth is absolutely essential, and finding it isn't an easy job, but it starts with figuring out who you are and what you've done. And is there any truth to that recording? Say, I'm not good enough. Know your truth, know your worth. And if you believe it, then you just put it out there to the world and everyone else will be able to see it as well.
I just want to yell, preach, sister. That's awesome. What incredible words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Tracy. I think you guys can all see why she is a WOW warrior for 2023, because that kind of message is the one that empowers people to stand up and stand out as that unrepeatable miracle. So thank you for that. I'm going to be flying high all day from that one. So thank you. I just want to ask you a little bit. I know this sometimes is a hard question for the honorees, but I do want to ask you, Tracy, 100 years from now, when your earthly body is no longer here and someone hears the name Tracy Malone, what is it that they're going to think, and what's going to occur to them? Basically, what is the legacy that you are leaving here?
Wow. Well, I hope that it is that I've helped so many people. And I run groups. I ran groups in person for a long time. Then I do them online. The clients I've coached, the people that listen to my videos that tell me I've saved their life. The clients that are just like, I felt so alone. I didn't know how to do this. Thank you for guiding me, right? I think that's an important part of my legacy, but I think it's also in putting people together. It's finding people that have similar, not cases, but situations where in my groups, for example, the original group from 7 years ago still goes out like every other weekend and they do things, right? And they're like, every time I go with them, they're just like, we would not be friends if it wasn't for you. You brought us together and you educated us and you got us through the worst times of our life. And that's the bond that they have. But I'm sort of the conduit to get them to meet each other and not feel so alone. When you are going through this, it is essential that if you think no one's hearing you because your friends are not going to understand it. So if you find people that get it or have been through there at the same time, life changes. It is the most powerful thing. And I think, and I hope that, between my books will still be here in 100 years. I said to my son, I hope you're still alive in 100 years to collect the royalties, because it's going to keep on going. And my 32 journals that I have, they should be part of my legacy because they're great works of help for people. And so it empowers me to do this. And we had a influencer in our narcissistic world pass away this year suddenly in her 40s, and every day I still see her videos coming up on YouTube, and she's helping other people even though she's gone. And so I think the legacy of just being there and helping people is always going to be there. That stuff's not going away. So
and you know what? That's exactly what the answer should be, right? Like this whole series that I do actually acknowledges a powerful woman who is standing up and standing out as the unrepeatable miracle that she is, and really writing her own history and creating intentionally the legacy that she wants to leave. And that's exactly what I just heard you articulate. You have very carefully, intentionally penned the things that will continue your mission long after you're gone. So with that, I want to say once again, congratulations, Tracy Malone, for being a 2023 WOW Warrior, and welcome to the WOW Warrior community.
I am so grateful. And again, this is just something I'm gonna ride high with and just be so honored and grateful for all the hard work I've done. To be appreciated and awarded this is such a great honor. So thank you so much, Sherry.
Thank you.